Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 219th episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So Blastmaster Chris may not be new to the channel, in the sense I've talked about two Boogie Down Productions albums previously, but this is the first time I'm covering a solo KRS-One project, so I figured I might as well start with what's arguably my favorite release in that department, his 1995 self-titled album KRS-One. This was actually in a way my real first introduction to the teacher, because I heard this album before I ever went back and checked out all the work he did in Boogie Down. And for some reason, I remember thinking this was his solo debut when I first found it, most likely because it's self-titled. But in reality, his first project as a solo artist was 1993's Return of the Boom Bap, which only dropped 1 year after Sex and Violence, which was the final BDP album. And while it's definitely a classic in its own right, I personally slightly preferred this LP, though some of his later albums are full of worthwhile and memorable moments of their own, like 1997's I Got Next or 2001's The Sneak Attack. His sophomore full-length here starts with a bang, giving us a collage of various old-school legends giving KRS a shout-out, with pretty much every Titan you can imagine popping up, from Cool Herc to Grand Wizard Theodore. Then the killer instrumental hits with these fat, crunchy drums and a jazzy horn sample that still absolutely slaps 30 years later. And honestly, that's the case with most of the beats on this album for me. Then Chris takes the mic to show and prove as he always does, rapping, "Blastmaster Chris, I don't talk ish, expand your consciousness and dismiss foolishness. No one is new to this or new to Chris. In hip-hop's atomic structure, I am the nucleus. That is the center of the group. We, us, they, them, you, every squad, every massive, every crew. Dental floss is lost when a true rapper jumps off. The cash is incidental, but not mental, distract you off course. The style that I'm kicking is like chicken. It will be bitten, rewritten, then performed for a $25 admission. Reviewed in the source, you will listen and find something missing, of course. It's skills. That's what you're fishing for. It's lost. I'm getting too explicit. The track jingles. I won't do a whack album, then remix it for my single. Kicking rhymes till I wrinkle and my brown eyes twinkle. God called hip-hop for the 9 Cinco. One more radical and politically charged verse that I adore on this thing comes from the track Aw Yeah, where Chris provides us with tons of vivid imagery and metaphors, starting with, "So here I go kicking science in 95, I be illin', parental discretion is advised, still, don't call me a Negro, this MC goes for his, call me God, 'cause that's what the black man is. Roaming through the forest is the hardest lyrical artist. Black women, you are not a bitch, you're a goddess. Let it be known, you can lean on KRS-One like a wall, 'cause I'm hard. I represent God. Whack MCs have only one style, gun buck, but when you say let's buck for revolution, they shut the fuck up. Kid, get with it. Down to start a riot in a minute. You'll hear so many bow, 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 you'll think I'm Riddick. While other MCs are talking about up with hope, down with dope, I'll have a devil in my infrared scope. Boy, that's for calling my father a boy, and clack, 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 that's for putting scars on my mother's back. Bo, that's for calling my sister a hoe, and for you, buck, 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 'cause we don't give a motherfuck. Remember the whip, remember the chant, remember about rope, and you black people still thinking about vote, team. Every president we ever had lied. You know, I'm kinda glad Nixon died." I have to assume that last line had a good amount of influence on Killer Mike, considering how reminiscent it is of his song about Ronald Reagan off his rap music album, and kind of shares a similar sentiment. But sharing his socio-political and racial knowledge is just part of what makes KRS-One such a captivating and timeless MC. What's really always cemented him as one of the all-time greats of the genre for me is how he always seems to perfectly embody the true spirit of hip hop. And he basically pushes for the advancement of this genre every time he opens his mouth. Chris always seems to be ready to freestyle off the top of the head at any given moment. And there's countless examples online of this from virtually every decade since he started in the game. He can rock the stage for any sized crowd. He never turns down any battle from any contender. And I highly doubt there's any other rapper alive who's dedicated the amount of time KRS has into preserving the legacy of hip hop music. Some people accuse legends of this stature and time period of being close minded towards the younger generation and the contributions we've made to the advancement of the genre, and while I definitely agree with that at times, it's important to remember virtually no genre doesn't experience that. I don't think there's too many rock stars from the 60s and 70s who are paying close attention to what the indie scenes are doing currently. And an OG like KRS provided more than enough game-changing material throughout his career to where I feel like it's ridiculous to expect anything more from him than what he's already given us. Speaking of which, the stellar group of instrumentals we receive on here is provided by names like DJ Premier, Big French Productions, Naughty Kato, Showbiz, and Diamond D of DITC, and KRS-One himself. As for the guest appearances on this thing, they come from an all-star roster consisting of Mad Lion, Fat Joe, Channel Live, Dexter Thibault, Busta Rhymes, and Das Effects. When it comes to my honorable mentions on KRS-One, I narrowed the tracks down to Aw Yeah, The Automatic, Free Mumia, Wannabe MCs, Represent the Real Hip Hop, Out for Fame, Squash All Beep, and Reality. For my three overall favorite songs, I would definitely have to go with MCs Act Like They Don't Know, Rappers Are in Danger, and Build Your Skills. Thank you for watching my 219th video. Next up, we have arguably the single most influential Southern DJ to ever get behind the boards. So look for that one, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite moments off this self-titled classic are. Don't forget to have a great day, and remember to not have a bad one.
Look, the key to my soul is locked in the cage it opens. The framework was made from my own rib cue. What came first, the crack or the crack light, or whichever one the first fiend used to bring back